So as promised in some of your discussion responses that I left, I'm making this video in order to try and clear up some of the confusion that might exist about the use of Jupyter notebooks as a Python interpreter, and also as a way to test your Python code. Generally, you can use Jupyter as an IDE. It works fine, and for most of your assignments and projects, we're going to be using Jupyter. So when you go to Oporto, you're going to see the client-server development desktop. It might be the only icon you see. So click Launch, and that will bring up your Linux desktop. And there we have the Linux desktop. So in order to, let's just take a little browse around. Here is your terminal emulator icon down here in this bottom tray. So you click on that just once and it'll bring up a terminal. And you can type in Linux commands and so forth there. ls, give you a directory listing. Can change directories to user local data sets, for example, and get a listing of the data sets. When you do that, you can see that there are a bunch of, there's a lot of stuff in mine, but yours will probably just have the CSV files and the JSON files, including enron.json right down here, which is the Enron database, excuse me, that has the emails collection in it. In Mongo, data is organized by collections rather than tables that you might find in a regular relational database. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out to you, the terminal. So I'm going to get out of here because the main purpose of doing this video is Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to double click on the Jupyter Notebook icon. With a little luck, that'll bring up Jupyter. And this is kind of what it looks like. Now, there are two kinds of Jupyter files that we're going to be using here. One is the to develop your CRUD file, which is the create, read, update, and delete file for the project that we're going to be doing. You're going to want that in a regular Python .py file extension file. All right, so we can create those in Jupyter, but you don't create them the same way that you create a Jupyter Notebooks file, which has an extension of IPYNB. All right, so to create a Jupyter Notebooks file, all you have to do is go to New, Python 3, and you have a notebook file. Okay, more on this in just a minute. In order to create a Python file, though, if you want to create your Python file right in Jupyter, you can go to New, Text File. It's going to bring up a text file, and you can type in your Python code here, or you can actually rename it right off the top. And if you do that, let's call this personage.py. Now we have a bona fide Python file, and you'll get the color highlighting and stuff when you define Python. For example, class was in green, person in blue, and we're going to use the constructor, which is init, and we're going to say self, which is the name of the object, name, age, and let's say hobby. All right, and so whoop, silly me. In order to preserve the indentation, we're going to say that self dot name equals name, self dot age equals age, self dot hobby equals hobby. Okay, now we have a class with one function, the constructor. That's all we're going to need for right now to do this little demonstration I have in mind. And we're going to go back now to the Jupyter notebook file. Oh, we got to save this, of course. You'll notice up here in the tab that there's a little asterisk in front of the file. That's to tell you that you've got unsaved changes in the file. So all you have to do is go here and say File Save. The little asterisk goes away, and we have a class. So the first thing we're going to want to do, if we're going to access this class from Jupyter Notebooks, is we're going to have to import it. So we're going to say from personage import person. All right, can that work? And then we're going to say we're going to use personage to instantiate some people. So person 1 is going to be person, and this is going to be Johnny Appleseed, and Johnny's going to be 28, and Johnny's hobby is planting apple trees. Then we're going to instantiate another one. Let's say P2 is person Scotty Paul. Scotty Paul is 69 years old. Holy smokes, that's old. And his hobby is playing poker online. And we're going to have a P3, and that's going to be person Jack the Ripper. He's 116, let's say. And his hobby is carvery, let's say. Yeah, carvery. All right. Now, we have this, and we can execute it. So let's go up here, and we'll say run. And it looks like to me that I have made a mistake. Invalid syntax. What have I done? What have I done? Class person, definite, self, name, age, hobby. Turns out, silly me, that I left off a colon after my class definition here. So I'm going to go back here to Jupyter. Now I'm going to execute this by saying run. And now I can use these instances of the class by saying p1.age, let's say. And I'll run that. And you can see that person 1's age. And I can say p3 dot age. Let's do it again, and we'll run that. You can see 116. P2 dot name, and we'll run that. And so you can see how we've set up our Python file here, imported it into a Jupyter notebook here, and we can do all of our testing and so forth like that. So I hope this little video helps you out a bit in kind of navigating through here. Again, to create a Python file, you just go back to your home page, new text file, right? Now rename it my Python 1.py, and now we have a Python file. Okay, So that's distinguished from the Jupyter Notebook file, which is over here. This file we can name, we can save it as test book, and that will automatically set us up as an IPYNB file, as you can see up here in the name. So we're all set. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks.